Here at Psych with Mike, we are committed to delivering the best, clinically sound psychology information that we possibly can to our audience. Brett and I have decades of clinical experience as well as educational experience, and we want to make sure that we're able to deliver that to the audience and that always be free. So after 2 years, to be able to take the show to the next level, we are going to open ourselves up to advertising. But before that can happen, we need everybody who hears this message to follow the link that is on the show notes on the podcast page or is on the show notes in the YouTube. Click on that link and fill out a survey that is literally 10 seconds long, so it won't take you more than 10 seconds. Do it right now. I'll wait. Okay, so see, that was really fast and really easy, and it's going to help us to be able to attract advertisers to the show and be able to take the show to the next level. Thanks for listening, and we hope that you enjoy Psych with Mike. Welcome into the Psych with Mike library. This is Dr. Michael Mahan. I'm here with Brett Newcomb.
Hey, I'm back.
Yeah, you're back.
I'm back. Or I'm still here.
You know what happened, though?
What?
Like, I was saying that, and I forgot.
You blanked out, yeah.
I forgot. I did.
I forgot who I was or what you were doing.
I forgot what we were doing. I was like, why are we doing this?
I've actually experienced that with you before.
Oh, my gosh. Wow, that's a little disconcerting.
Yeah.
I'm very anxious, though.
You know, that's not normally the descriptor I would use for you.
No?
No.
Do you want to...
No, I don't want to tell you what the alternative
You don't want to... Yeah. You don't want to commit yourself, or you don't want to commit yourself publicly?
I don't want to cause you distress.
Well, but I'm already distressed. I told you I'm anxious.
Well, okay, then. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
What are you anxious about? Do you know?
I'm anxious. To be honest with you, man, I am anxious about everything.
Good for you.
Right now.
It's an anxiety-provoking time. It's a dangerous time.
So
that just tells me you're reality grounded.
Well, so I don't remember the Kennedy assassination. I do remember Watergate. I do remember Vietnam. I do remember Kent State. I do remember 9/11. And in all of the things that I remember, I don't remember a time that is producing as much anxiety for me as this moment.
Yeah.
So do you agree with that, or do you think there was another time in your life that you felt more anxiety?
No, I think I would agree with that, and I think I do agree with that, because underlying the anxiety that I felt in those previous experiences was a belief that the system was in place and the system would pull us through.
The system would keep working even
if the president were killed, the system is in place and the vice president will step up, the Congress will work, the laws are enforced, nobody's going to come rob my house and set it on fire. America works. And right now, I think the message is there's so much chaos, so many problems, that many people, if not most people, just aren't sure that the system is working. They want to blame it on everybody in the world. I mean, it's the Democrats, it's the Republicans, it's Trump, it's McConnell. Maybe it's any or all of them, but the perception among ordinary people is it's a dangerous time to be alive. The system's not working.
Yeah, and I think that it is a combination of all of the above, and I think it has to be. I think this is the perfect storm. You know, if we didn't have the pandemic, there wouldn't be as great a push for online voting. So then if you made the message that online voting is rigged, and then people, it would gain more traction. But right now people are saying, oh, no, I don't want to believe that online voting is rigged because I want to online vote because of the pandemic. But then if the message is that there are people in the administration that say online voting is rigged, now are they laying the foundation?
You're saying online voting. You talking about mail-in voting?
Well, mail-in.
Or are you talking about going online?
No,
voting?
I'm talking mail-in.
Okay.
Said online, but
no, but there's an argument to be made.
No, I know. But I was getting ahead of myself.
Okay.
Yes, because I meant mail-in.
Okay.
And so now if we're going to defund the post office and all this, but my point being that I agree with you that there is the perception, what if we get to the end of this year and we have an election, and then the people that are currently in charge say we don't abide, and because they're in banana republics, they do that all the time, where they say, oh well, we don't abide by the results of this election, we think it was rigged, so we're just going to do what we want to do anyway.
Right.
And I think that for the first time in our history, we may actually be in a place where that could theoretically happen. Now, I still want to believe that the system is going to work, and that even if that did happen, that our better angels would say, no, we're America. We have a system that works no matter what. But in the meantime, there are just so many things that are going on, and it's such a perfect storm that I think the level of anxiety is higher than perhaps it's ever been.
I got nothing. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
I'm sharing that reality. And a matter of fact, when we do some research for these conversations so that we can refer to them in the blog and people can go and check them out. There's a lot of research that says right now one of the best ways to cope with high levels of anxiety about the system failing is don't watch the news.
Right.
That's kind of like the argument the president makes about testing. Mm-hmm. If we don't test for the coronavirus, our numbers don't go up. Mm-hmm. Our death numbers don't go up. Our infection numbers don't go up because we didn't test for it. Mm-hmm. So, it's like if you don't take a pregnancy test, you can't get pregnant.
Right.
The logic of that is self-defeating.
Yeah.
But there are arguments being made that if you're getting overwhelmed and it's interfering with your ability to function on a daily basis, then one way to not get overwhelmed is just don't watch the news.
Right. And so to be able to lay the foundation for why that is counterproductive, watching the news is actually counterproductive, we have to understand what anxiety is. So human beings don't do a very good job. People who are supposed to understand, so people in the psychology industry are supposed to understand anxiety, but we don't do a very good job of educating people what it is. Anxiety is not a biological disorder in your body. So anxiety is not going to be controlled because somebody gives you a drug. If you take a drug to deal with your anxiety, you take a drug the same way you take a cold medicine. It masks the symptoms of the disorder, but it does not cure the disorder. Right. So anxiety is created by what's called cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is the inability for the human mind to comfortably hold two conflicting thoughts simultaneously.
Right. So you have to find a way to reduce your stress levels, to reduce your cognitive dissonance.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you are terrified of the pandemic,
right,
but all you do is watch bad news about the pandemic, you are creating increased levels of cognitive dissonance. That's why people say if you are really, really anxious about the pandemic, watch less news coverage of the pandemic because you are creating your own cognitive dissonance.
Well, and that goes back to the physiological thing that you are physiologically conditioned to try to resolve dissonance to consonance.
Yes. So explain that.
To return to homeostasis.
Yes.
I mean, in music, it's like dot, 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 dot. You cannot not finish that.
Right.
Because your system is reflexively moving in the direction of going.
I really need you to finish it.
Yeah, and so but if I don't, you will. You'll pop your toe twice, or your knee twice, or you'll say it in your head, but you'll resolve that dissonant cliff that I created for you.
Yeah. The guy that does the music for the podcast, he's like a crazy musical genius. Like, I'm not even lying. Like, he'll talk about music in ways that I think I'm pretty smart, but I can't fathom. And he talks about these resolves. And in music, every piece of music. So does that mean I'm smart
because I know that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Dot.
Every piece of music has a resolve, has a logical resolve.
Harmony, harmonics.
Right. And sometimes people will go against that to create dissonance in the musical piece.
Syncopated music.
But it's amazing to me that that's actually a thing, that music has this resolve. And when we feel that dissonance,
It's in art, it's in music, it's in construction. I mean, you look at a place that's built without harmony. I mean, it's in feng shui. I mean, it's a human response or need to have harmony.
Right.
And if we live in chaotic times, we experience anxiety. And if we experience anxiety to an overwhelming level, we become dysfunctional.
And so the Renaissance period of art, which I just recently learned, actually was about creating consonance. So it was about reducing dissonance. So the realistic pictorials of the Renaissance period were designed to give people a really smooth, good feeling about the art. And when you go and look at those paintings, you feel really relaxed and really calm. And then the Cubist, or the Van Gogh,
But they also were thematic. I mean, they were harmonious but thematic. They were thematic around the concept that there's an overlord God that brings structure to the universe, and that if you're in harmony with that structure to the universe, you're safe. Life's going to be good.
And then the cubistic presentation of Van Gogh and those guys was all about creating dissonance. It was about being, and so now a lot of art, that is about being in your face and making you look at, the insecurities in the world, the injustice in the world. That creates dissonance, and that makes you uncomfortable because it creates dissonance. So anytime there's dissonance, we're going to feel anxiety. Anytime there's consonance, we're going to feel soothed, and we're going to feel serene. So if you are feeling dissonance, if you are feeling anxiety, the only way to resolve that is to create consonance. And if you don't know how to do that...
So you have to learn how to self-soothe, because the system isn't going to soothe you.
Well, or you have to learn how to say, I'm going to turn off the TV, even though I feel a drive to watch the TV because I need to know this information. You have to say, that's not helping me.
Well, you have to say, I'm going to regulate it. I'm going to turn it down, not expose myself. It's like if you're complaining because the stove is hot, take your hand off the stove or turn the stove off.
Right.
Gradually, you'll be able to touch the stove. So gradually, you'll be able to check the news. You just can't obsess about it and watch it all the time.
Right.
If it's causing you anxiety at a level of discomfort that you can't tolerate. But then there are other strategies that you can also work on, like trying to get a good night's sleep. If you sleep well, then your brain drains all the garbage out of your brain. Literally, the crap comes out of your brain and passes through your system.
Do you want to know how that works?
I do know how it works.
I
was trying to avoid saying it, but you can. No, go ahead. I'll listen.
I really want to tell you.
All right.
So there are these cells in your brain called glial cells. They produce the structure of your brain. And your glial cells actually shrink when you go into REM sleep, which is dream sleep.
I'm in the glial club.
And are you the leader?
Yes, always.
Yeah, always the leader.
Yeah.
And when those glial cells shrink up, then the cerebral spinal fluid, that is an enzyme that takes away those neurotoxins, actually can circulate in your brain and break up the bad stuff that's built up over the course of the day.
Right.
So that's why sleep is, it's just so important.
And then you pee or poop it out. Yeah.
But so here's the thing though, if you are experiencing higher levels of anxiety, not only are you...
There's a greater volume of that stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
but even if you have more neurotoxin created in your brain, but even if you do sleep, even if you force yourself, even if you take drugs or whatever to sleep, you're not going to dream. You're not going to dream as well, as efficiently, or as long, and therefore you're not going to get as much of the cleansing action of the cerebral spinal fluid flowing through your brain as you would normally get. So even if you do sleep, it's not going to be restful,
should I be
productive
anxious
sleep.
about that?
Well, no, because that's just making the problem worse. Okay, let's put a pin in that. We're going to run to our break, and we will be back in just a second. Here at Psych with Mike, we are committed to delivering to you the best psychology information that we possibly can. And we want to make sure that that's always free. So we need everybody to go to the link that is in the show notes on the podcast page or in the show notes on the YouTube page, and fill out a really quick, less than 10-second survey. That's going to help us to be able to attract advertisers to the show. That's going to let us take the show to the next level while still delivering the show in a free format. So please help us out. Share that information with everybody in your family, everybody that you know. The more responses that we get, the faster that we can get monetized, the faster that we can attract high quality advertisers. We are committed to screening every advertiser that comes onto the show. So we're not going to be selling you things that we don't agree with or that we don't think are appropriate for the content of the show, but we do want to be able to upgrade the technical quality and the overall look of the show. So help us out. Go right now, click that link, fill out the survey, tell everybody you know to go and fill out the survey, and we really appreciate it. Thanks, and if it's Friday, it's Psych with Mike. Okay, we're back, and no, you should not necessarily
find other things to be anxious
right.
about.
I mean, that's a detriment. I mean, that's counterproductive.
I'm worried about whether I need new tires in my car. You know, if I drive home, will I have a flat?
Right.
I mean, there are so many things to worry about.
Right, but I can't buy tires because I got to buy health insurance.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a job.
Or I'm worried about I didn't get my unemployment benefit, so maybe I'm going to be unhoused in a day or two. Where will I go? What will I do with my stuff?
Right.
I mean, people in the big cities where they're evicting the homeless, making people homeless, stuff's just piling up on the street.
Yeah.
That they move all their stuff out of the house.
And that's
they got
what
no
I'm
place
saying.
to go with it.
I think this is a perfect storm. And, now that we've gotten past July and all of the original stimulus for the coronavirus response has run out and we don't really have Congress, apparently.
Well, they went home. They're on break.
Yeah. Well,
they're concerned. They express, thoughts and prayers. Yeah. Thoughts and prayers every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they can't bother to come back to Congress and work on it.
Because none of them are going to lose their housing.
Or their retirement. The average age is 67, so they're all going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I just think it is such a perfect storm of things that are happening that are creating a tremendous amount of dissonance that I just really am imploring people to find opportunities to reduce it. Don't find opportunities to
accelerate
your level of dissonance, find opportunities to reduce it. And I understand that is difficult. And I understand that people's problems are real. And I'm not trying to minimize any of that. But people have to take responsibility. What I know right now is that we don't have a system in place that's going to accept responsibility for reducing our cognitive dissonance. The only way that that's ever going to happen is if we choose to take responsibility for that ourselves.
So what tools can you offer people to try to do that?
So, like we talked about, the first thing was try and expose yourself less to dissonance-inducing information. So if you are at home and you are sheltering in place, you don't need to have 24/7 coverage of all the bad news in the world playing in the background.
Yeah. Another thing that you can benefit from and experience less anxiety is if you can maintain social contact with your network of friends. Not on Facebook where everybody's putting all kinds of anxiety-provoking crap out there, but physically.
Right.
Social distancing appropriately. Can you get together with your neighbors? Can you talk to your friends? Can you say, I see you? Do you see me? How's your life going? Are there ways that we can find to be together that are safe and appropriate? And if we can discover those, then we need to be spending time among people because we're social animals.
Right.
And all this isolation is not good for us. It's dangerous to get together, dangerous to be exposed to the virus, but it's dangerous to be alone.
And exercise is such an important part of reducing this level of anxiety. So exercise is good for multiple reasons. Number one, it creates an opportunity for you to eject some of this energy that's pent up inside of you.
Right.
Number two, the way in which your body reproduces its neurotransmitters is based on the amount of exercise that you get. So, if you've ever been really lethargic and you're like, I just don't feel like my brain's working very well, it's not. Right? Your brain is designed to recalibrate itself based on your circadian rhythm. If you never exercise, your brain doesn't get the triggers and the cues to replenish the neurotransmitters that make your brain function. So exercise is a hugely important thing for helping people regulate their dissonance.
Another is deep breathing. A lot of times in therapy, we ask people to just breathe. We just say, you're not breathing. I need you to breathe. Can you take 3 deep breaths? Because they get overwhelmed, their system tightens up, and they shut down, and that's harmful. So we recognize the nonverbal display of that, and we say to people, I need you to breathe. And then we try to teach them, when you feel yourself starting to get overwhelmed, take 10 deep breaths. Just stop. Take a little mini vacation. Do some deep breathing.
And so let's talk a little bit about that for people who don't know the proper way to breathe deeply. We're conditioned because of the way that we have been raised. We sit down in chairs, and what happens is that all of your lung capacity is actually below your chest. It goes down into your abdomen. And if you sit in an upright position, you're closing off that space. And so we breathe real shallowly, just right into our chest. And what we want to do is to give ourselves the opportunity to recognize what it feels like to breathe into your abdomen. So if you put a hand on your chest and a hand on your abdomen, and you imagine breathing and allowing the hand on your abdomen to move, but the hand on your chest to remain stationary, that helps you feel what the biology of deep breathing is. And you may have to do that not in a seated position, so it really helps to be like lying down on your back to practice this, because it gives you the opportunity to feel that air going down in deep into your abdomen, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about expanding the lung capacity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another thing that seems to be helpful is to remind yourself of all the good things that are still in your life. Practice gratitude. I'm grateful for my neighbor. I'm grateful for my parents. I'm grateful for my church. I'm grateful that I have food in the refrigerator. I'm grateful I have clothes to wear, clean clothes to wear. I'm grateful I can take a shower. I mean, literally, what are the things that, no matter how chaotic the world is, I'm grateful that I come home and my dog is happy to see me.
Right.
And whatever it might be.
Right.
Remind yourself in a literal listing of things, just like we work with people that are severely depressed, and we say, make a list of your accomplishments every day. I got out of bed, I got dressed, I tied my shoes. And it may seem too simplistic, it may seem stupid, but it is helpful in reducing anxiety if you remind yourself of all the good that you still are in contact with.
I had a client last week who said to me, I've been getting all of my therapy during the pandemic from TikTok.
Aha.
Yeah. And I said, well, I'm not sure.
So I just discovered TikTok yesterday. I downloaded it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, so she said to me, you should be on TikTok. And I said, I don't think that would be productive. She's like, oh, no, I think you would be wrong. So I downloaded TikTok and figured out how to make TikTok.
Upload a little movie.
So I've been doing 1-minute therapy every day.
Here's me laughing hilariously for a minute.
And I've really been focusing on self-esteem. And, my theory of self-esteem is that it's your global perception of self, but it's immutable. You can't really do much to affect that. What you do is you affect your confidence, which is domain specific. So, for example, you could think that you're a good soccer player but still have low self-esteem. You could think you're good at math but still have low self-esteem. So you could have confidence in one specific domain but still globally feel bad about yourself. But if you up your confidence in 51% of the domains that you operate in as an individual, your self-esteem skyrockets. You don't have to do anything to affect that. It's just going to be a natural process. So I'm really encouraging people to work on their self-confidence, and that's what I'm telling people to do is, give yourself credit for everything that you're already doing well. If you get up every day, and because that's another thing is establishing a schedule.
Yeah.
But if you get up every day and you take a shower Celebrate that. And well, that's nothing.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
You should be celebrating you. Nobody's going to celebrate you more than you celebrate you. And that's not being egotistical. That's not being conceited.
And it's not being mundane.
No.
It has value.
Absolutely, it has value. Not only does it have
experiential value.
It's your responsibility to do that for yourself.
Yeah, it's not mine.
No,
For
and
you,
so
it's
right,
yours for you.
right,
Yeah.
and then as you do that, then you're going to be developing confidence, and that's going to really help you feel like you have control, and you now can turn off the TV to help reduce other areas of cognitive dissonance in your life. But if you don't have any control, if a person feels
So coming to therapy is like going to the hardware store. You're coming here to get tools. You're not coming here to get the end result.
Everything from scoops to
I can't make
nuts.
you okay, but I can give you the tools so that you can discover that you are okay.
Right.
That you can do things and have power to do things that will change your life. That's in your purview. I can't do that for you. I can give you ideas. I can give you feedback, but I also give you tools.
right,
And you take these tools and you put them in your basement, then they don't help.
right,
But you can run down the basement every so often and say, "Hey, I got tools," but you got to use them. So my job is to teach you to have the tool and teach you how the tool works, and then you have to go home and use it. I
Right.
can't use it for you.
and that's a really great analogy because some tools can hurt you.
Yeah.
If you don't use them right.
Right.
And just like with a
You
tool.
ever see a carpenter with 2 fingers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, because he's not working anymore because he's only got 2 fingers. So now you can't hold the tools. But yeah, exactly. I mean, some tools can hurt you. And just like with that analogy, some of the things that we teach people in psychology can be detrimental to them if they're not used correctly.
Right.
And so it's important for people to understand how to use those tools, but you're going to have a greater capacity to use those tools effectively if you have higher levels of competence.
And less anxiety.
Right.
And you'll have that if you do these things that we've just given you the tools to use.
So could you do this? Could you rate you, and I don't mean to make it a hierarchy, but could you identify the one of these tools that we've talked about that you think could be most important? People could just do one thing to lower their level of cognitive dissonance. What would that one thing be?
Whichever one of these things gives them the most immediate relief. My thought would be for a lot of the people that we're talking to, avoid obsessing about the news.
Yeah.
And don't watch the news obsessively. You have to watch it enough to stay current, but don't obsess about it. And then second, I would say breathe. Learn how to breathe deeply. Learn how to take a good amount of air into your
Right.
system, because the oxygen cleans out the toxins, and you need to get rid of the ones that you've internalized.
Yeah. And my first one would be breathe.
Okay?
And my second one would be exercise. And the reason is because if you were breathing and exercising while you were doing that, you couldn't be paying attention to the TV.
Okay. Well, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully this has been beneficial for people.
And I'm really grateful for you pointing that out. I mean, I like to have gratitude in my life.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That means a lot to me.
Yeah. Well, I try to keep track of the things I'm grateful for.
Hopefully this has been good for people. Please go to iTunes and give us a rating and leave us a comment. That is super helpful for the show. As always, the music that appears in Psych with Mike is written and performed by Mr. Benjamin DeClue. And if it is Friday, it's Psych with Mike.